Hey guys, we just launched the CodeScanner widget and I think it's a really cool widget. So what the CodeScanner widget does is that it allows you to access your device camera, and with it you can easily scan QR code and barcode from within AppSmith without having to integrate to the third-party API or use a different service. This is done natively in-house on the platform. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a checkout system using the CodeScanner widget. If you've ever been to a store that uses an automated checkout system, it's the exact same thing that we'll be building here. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead to show you how this works. So if you take a look at my screen here, we have a checkout page, and you can see that we have a product right now on the checkout page. We have just one item, and I can go into add a new item by scanning the barcode of that item. So let's go to add an item. This is going to launch my camera, and let's let it scan the device barcode. And you can see that the Raspberry Pi 4 has been added. By the way, I was trying to add this Raspberry Pi 4 by scanning the QR code, the barcode on the device, and you can see that this has been added. I can go ahead to increment it, I can go ahead to decrement it, and as I play with the quantity of this item, you can also see that the total count, which is the total number of items I have to purchase, is also being updated. So this is what we are going to be building into this video, and I think this is a really fun project. Let's go ahead to add in another item to the list. So I have a Google Nest Mini here. I'm just going to scan the QR code, and as you can see, that has been added as well. So in this video, we're going to take a quick look at the CodeScanner widget, and then I'll show you how to build a checkout system like you just saw using the CodeScanner widget. My name is Confident, and I'm a developer advocate at AppSmith. Without any delay, let's get started. Alright, to get started, we'll be taking a look at the CodeScanner widget. And by itself, the CodeScanner widget is a really straightforward widget. So let's go in to grab the CodeScanner widget. And this is how it looks like by default. It's a simple widget that when you click on it, it opens a camera and it's able to scan a QR code or a barcode and extract the information from that code. So this is the CodeScanner widget. This is how it looks like by default. So it has a few meta properties, like you can go ahead to change the text. So let's say scan product, for example, and that's going to update the text that shows up on the CodeScanner button. Then you have a few properties here. You have the visible property, you have the disabled property, you have a property for animating the loading state, and of course you can go in to add a tooltip for the CodeScanner widget. Now, whenever a code has been scanned by the CodeScanner widget, you can go on to run an action. So there's this event for on codes detected. You can go into run an action, as you'll be seeing when we go to build the checkout system. And you can also style this a bit. So there are a couple of styling options. You can go in to style this to your heart's content. Now, for the meta properties of the CodeScanner widget, there are a couple of other properties we can read from the widget. So I'm going to go grab a text widget. And here, if we try to take a look at what we have in the CodeScanner, so let's do CodeScanner 1. You see that we have a bunch of other properties. We have the value property, which is the detected code from the CodeScanner widget. Then we have a disabled state, we have a visible state, which are both booleans. So we'll be using the value property, which will be the output of whatever the CodeScanner widget was able to figure out by scanning the barcode or QR code from the device we are going to be using. So this is a brief overview of using the CodeScanner widget. Now we'll take a look at how to actually build a checkout system using the CodeScanner widget. So let's build a checkout system using the CodeScanner widget. The idea here is that we should have a bunch of products. Like you saw, I have a bunch of products here. In fact, I'm glad I have these cartons laying around. I have a bunch of empty cartons, and we're going to be building the checkout system by scanning these empty cartons. I'm glad I have them around because not having any of these would make this video impossible. So we have a bunch of products. Then we want to be able to grab the product ID by scanning the product carton or packaging as you saw earlier. Then we want to add that product to a checkout basket. We want to be able to increase the product quantity or decrease it in the basket. And we also want to be able to know the total amount of products in the basket so that we can go on to bill the customer for the entire product that has been added to the basket. So what we're going to be using for this video is Postgres. So I already have a database set up on Supabase, which is a Postgres database on top of Supabase that has all of the product ID, the product name, and also the price. So we're going to be using this database to build out the checkout system. And the first thing we need to do here is connect to the Postgres database on Supabase. So I'm going to be using the omnibar navigation. This is going to be Control or Command Shift plus, and I'm going to go to create a new data source. I'm going to be creating a Postgres data source. All right, and we can call this checkout. All right, so for the host address, I am going to copy this over. For the port, this is going to be port 5432. That's the default Postgres port. Database name is Postgres. Username is Postgres, and password, I would need to quickly grab the password. Okay, so I'm going to test this and the data source is valid. Then I'm going to go ahead to save this, and that looks good. And we can start writing our queries. So the first query we would be writing here would be one to get a product given a particular ID from the CodeScanner widget. So let's call this get product. All right. And this is going to be a select query. So we want to select star from the checkout table because everything we have here for the product information is in the checkout table. So this is going to be select star from the checkout table. And what we want to do is that we want to have a where clause. So let's edit this a bit. So this is going to be where ID. Okay, this should be ID equal to the value from the CodeScanner widget that was scanned by the CodeScanner widget. So this is going to be CodeScanner one.value, and I'll need to turn off prepared statement because we are using a where clause here. So if I go ahead to run this, we actually have no record because the value from the CodeScanner widget is empty right now. So let's go test this out. Before moving on, I would also like to mention that the code right here, or the code for the entire app, the fully built app, is available on GitHub. So I'm going to quickly show you that in case you would like to take a look at the complete app with all of the JavaScript code and SQL queries. So this is it right here on GitHub. It's in the Foundry repo, and I'm going to be leaving a link to this repo below in the description. All right, so let's go on with building. So let's head back to the canvas, and what I want to do is scan a test product using the CodeScanner widget. So let's open up the CodeScanner widget. All right, and I'm going to scan this. All right, so that is done with scanning the Kindle Paperwhite product I have here. So let's head back to the get products query. By the way, I'm using the omnibar navigation. That was a Control P I did, and I just went ahead to search for the entity, which is get products. So now we have an actual value. As you can see, this is the product ID, and if we'll go run this query, we should have the Kindle Paperwhite shown here. So this is the device information with the price, the ID, and name. So now we have the query working. We actually want this query to be executed from JavaScript. That's because we want to be able to create a basket system where we can add items and increase their quantity or decrease their quantity as we see fit. So let's create a JavaScript file. So I'm going to be creating a new JavaScript file, and let's call this app.js. So what we want to do is, first, I'll start by deleting the boilerplate code and calling this function the getProduct function. So this is going to be a function that runs the getProduct query, and we can take a look at the response and save that in a variable called response. So this is going to be const res is going to equal to await getProduct.run. And we can do a console log because now console logs are available in AppSmith. So let's do a console log to see the value of res. So this is going to be console.log res. All right, that looks good. and I can go ahead to run this. So to see the response, I need to go to the logs tab, and I can filter to only see console logs. And you can see that the response from the get product query is an array, but that array only contains one object. So what we can do to make our life easy is we can use the array destructuring syntax, and I'm going to go ahead to rerun this. And here you see that we just have the object we need. So now res is actually the product information. And what we want to do at this point is that now that we have access to the product, we want to go to add it to the basket or the checkout system. Now to build the checkout system, I'm going to be starting by creating a helper function called find. And find is going to help us check to see if the item we are getting from the get products query, it's going to help us see if it's already in the store. It's going to help us figure out the quantity. It's also going to help us figure out the index in our checkout basket or store. So we're going to be using the AppSmith store for this, of course. So let's start by creating the find function. So the find function is going to be a function. So this is going to be find, all right? And it's going to take in an item, all right? And this is going to be a function. So let's add a comma there. So the first thing we want to do is create a checkout basket. So this is going to be const checkout. And this is going to be coming from the AppSmith store. So this is going to be appsmith.store.checkout. If the store doesn't exist, we want this to default to an empty array. The next thing we want to do is try to find the index of that item in the checkout basket. So let's say const I is going to be equal to checkout.find index. And what we want to do is we want to write a find function that tries to see if the index of the current iteration is equal to the ID of the current item. So this is going to be i.id double or triple equal to item.id, and that's going to find the index of the item. The next thing we want to do is figure out the quantity of the item in the store. So this is going to be const q is going to be equal to checkout index I, which is the index we just found, dot quantity. All right, so that's going to find the quantity, but we need to add an error handler here. In the case where that item doesn't exist already in the store, there will be no quantity property, because as you can see from the data we're saving in the database, we actually don't have the quantities saved in the database. We only have the information about a particular product saved in the database. So the quantity property is a property we would create on the fly. So as not to run into error issues, I'm just going to add a conditional chaining here. So that's going to check out to see if a quantity variable exists. And then we can go on to return all of these pieces that we have been able to figure out. So let's return an array that is going to have the index, the quantity, and the checkout basket. All right, so that's the find function. Now let's go on to write a function that would actually add an item to the checkout basket and leverage the find function. So we're going to call this function the add to checkout function. So this is going to be add to checkout. All right, and this is going to be a function that takes in an item. All right, and let's create the function body. So like I mentioned earlier, this function is going to be making use of the find function. So what we want to do is pull out the index, quantity, and the checkout store or basket from the find function. So this is going to be const index, quantity, and checkout from this.find, and we want to pass in the item to the find function item. All right, so that looks good. Now what we want to go on to do is we want to try to figure out if the item already exists in the store. If the item already exists in the store, what we want to do is increment the quantity of the item in the store. But if the item does not exist in the store, what we want to do is go ahead to add that item to the store. So let's write some JavaScript logic to do exactly this. All right, so this is going to be if I'm going to be using tilde I. By the way, that is the Boolean not operator. I made a quick video here on Twitter to explain how this works, but the summary is that if the item exists in the store, this block would evaluate to true, and then whatever we write here is going to be valid. But I'm going to leave a link to a video that explains how the Boolean not operator works if you're interested in digging deeper. So let's go on to write the body of the function here. So what we want to do is, let's say check out index I. We just want to increase the quantity. So this is going to be a new object. We're going to spread whatever was already there in checkout index I, and then we want to increment the quantity. So this is going to be quantity, and we want to increase the quantity, which is Q, that we're getting from the find function. We want to increase this by 1, and that looks good. Else, what we want to do is, if the item does not exist in the store, we want to create a new entry for that item in the store and add a quantity value to the item as we're creating it. So this is going to be the else block, and then we want to go ahead to create that item in the store. So this is going to be checkout.push, and what we want to do here is push an object that is going to spread out item, and then we're going to create a key called quantity and set this to 1. All right, so that's basically all we need to do. So the last thing I'm going to do here is save the checkout basket into the store so that we have a persistent state. So this is going to be store value, and this is going to be checkout, and we want to store the checkout array. All right, so that looks good. I think I might need to prettify my code a little bit. So I'm just going to click on the menu here and click on prettify code. Okay, I think I don't need that actually. My code is well formatted, as we can see. So this looks good and this works great. We can actually give this a try, but before doing that, I want to make sure that the get product function actually uses the add to checkout function. So this is going to be this.add to checkout. All right, so this is going to be this.add to checkout, and we're passing in the response, and it's going to have that item added to the store. So remember, we already have the Kindle device scanned with the CodeScanner widget. So I'm just going to go ahead to run this function, and we should have this device, which is the Kindle device right here, added to the store. So let's run the function. All right, and we have that item added to the store. So let's head back to the canvas. And what I'm going to do is, let's go bring in a table widget, and we can use that to display information from the store. So this is a table widget, all right. And let's try to read the information from the store. So this is going to be appsmith.store.checkout. And you can see here that we have the Amazon Kindle added, and this is being read from the store. So this means that all of our logic for adding a product actually works. And we can go back to the CodeScanner widget and make sure that when a code is detected, we want to go ahead to execute the get product function. So we can give this a spin. Let's try this for a different product. I'm going to be using the Raspberry Pi I have here. So let's scan product. All right, and this is going to be Raspberry Pi. And you can see that the Raspberry Pi was added. So this is awesome, and it works really well. So let's go on to create buttons to increase the quantity or decrease the quantity of a product. And that's really easy because we actually have a function that handles it for us. So I'm going to add a new column, and let's call this add, and let's go in to set the column type to icon button, and this is going to be a plus icon. All right, and for the style, I'm just going to set this to secondary. Then when this function or when this button is clicked on, what I want to do is execute the add to checkout function, and what I'm just going to do is go ahead to pass in current row. So current row would be the current item, and this function is just going to increment the value of the current item. So we're done. So let's give this a try. So I'm going to click on this, and you can see that the quantity is being increased. I can also do that for the Raspberry Pi. The quantity is also being increased. So this works flawlessly. Now, to create a quantity decrement function, we need to have a JavaScript function that actually handles removing the number of quantities from the store, and I actually just have that done as well. So I'm just going to copy that function. Let's go to the app.js file, and we're going to create a new entry, for the remove from checkout function. So it's very similar to the add to checkout function. What this does is that it uses the find utility to grab the items, index, and quantity and the entire checkout basket, and it tries to do a check. So if the quantity of the item is greater than 1, what it does here is that it decreases the quantity by 1. That's a decrement. It decreases the quantity by 1. Else, if the item is equal to 1 or below, which means the item is not even in the store. If the item is equal to 1, what this does is that it removes the item from the checkout basket. So it deletes the item from the checkout basket, giving the index of the item, and then resaves the basket into the store. So this is exactly what is going on right here. I think I need to format my code now, and that is much better. By the way, I should also learn this keyboard shortcut. This is Shift Command P. Okay, I'm going to use that next time. All right, so that's the remove from checkout function. And we can go back to the table widget here and add a remove column, which is similarly going to be an icon button. And this is going to be the minus icon. And we can go to the style. We can set this to secondary. For the color, I'm going to make this red. We can head back to the action and make this execute the remove from checkout function. So let's go into JavaScript, and this is going to be current row. So we're going to pass in the current row as the parameter to the function, and this should be removed as well. So we have a little bit of zoom here, or too much zoom. So I'm going to, all right, so this looks better. Okay, so that looks better. All right, that looks perfect. So now let's try using the remove button to decrement the quantity. And you can see this is being decremented. And if I hit this one more time, it's going to get removed from the store. And you saw that this works as well. So this is how easy it is to set up a checkout system on AppSmith. To wrap things up, let's go grab a text widget. So this is going to be a text widget. All right, this is going to be used to display the total. So this is going to be total. All right, and I can make this light, and we'll grab another text widget to display the actual total information. So I'm going to paste in this code right here, and what it does is that it calculates the checkout or the total from the amount of item in our checkout basket that is in the store. So this is going to be computed each time the store changes. And we can grab one more text widget here and label our app the checkout app. So this is going to be checkout app. All right, and let's make this really large. And that's really nice. So let's give this app, let's take this app for a spin. Here I have the Raspberry Pi, so I'm going to try adding the Kindle. So this is going to be for the Kindle. All right, the Kindle has been added. Let's go to add the Google Nest Mini. That has been added. And I have this package for the Logitech keyboard. So let's add this. And that has been added as well. And we can go in to increase the quantity, and you can see that that changes the total amount as well. So this is how easy it is to build a checkout system using the CodeScanner widget. So for example, you can take this app and integrate a payment system to work with it, and it's just going to work flawlessly. All right, that's all for today's video. It was really fun building out this checkout system. Now, if you'd love to learn more, we made a video here on building a custom authentication system with Supabase. We use Supabase as the database provider. If you'd love to see how you can build more awesome apps using AppSmith and Supabase, go check out this video on setting up a custom authentication system with Supabase. Then we also made a video right here on how to self-host AppSmith with Docker. So go check that out if you love to self-host your own AppSmith instances. All right, so this was a really fun app building exercise. I really enjoyed this. If you found this helpful, please leave a like and get subscribed, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.